Barack Obama has long been recognized as one of the most compelling political figures in modern American history, a leader whose ability to communicate with clarity, persuasion, and emotion has often left audiences captivated. Whenever he speaks, his words are dissected not just by political analysts but by everyday citizens who feel a strong connection to the way he frames issues that matter most. In this particular instance, his live appearance on television became more than just another public address, it became a moment that electrified the political arena. The weight of his words was so profound that they instantly began circulating across every major news platform and social media outlet. What made this moment stand out was not just what he said, but how and when he chose to say it. A live setting provides no safety net, no chance to edit, refine, or walk back statements. Obama knew the gravity of this format, and he deliberately used it to deliver a message that could not be ignored. The bombshell revelation he made cut directly to the heart of ongoing political debates, exposing contradictions, flaws, and controversies that were difficult for his opponents to dismiss. His decision to speak boldly, without hesitation, carried the weight of experience, credibility, and the trust he had built during his presidency. Listeners were left with a sense that they were witnessing history unfold in real time. Many political speeches fade quickly, but this was different. It was the kind of declaration that shapes not only headlines but also public sentiment. Every gesture, every pause, every emphasis he placed on certain words amplified the seriousness of what he was revealing. In the charged environment of American politics, timing is everything, and Obama's choice to drop his statement when he did ensured that it had maximum impact. For Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump, this moment represented more than just a political opponent taking a shot at them. It was a high-profile leader with international stature dismantling their carefully constructed narrative on live television. The sheer scale of the audience guaranteed that they could not control the message or spin it in their favor before millions of people had already absorbed it. Obama's revelation felt calculated yet natural, a perfect blend of conviction and confidence that reminded viewers of his political mastery. This ability to connect truth with timing turned his message into a bombshell, shaking not only the Trump family but also the broader political establishment. The content of what Obama revealed carried a weight that could not easily be brushed aside. While his critics often accuse him of being overly polished or rehearsed, there was no denying that this statement came across as genuine, unfiltered, and intentionally provocative. His words drew immediate responses from journalists, commentators, and citizens across the political spectrum. Some applauded his courage for addressing the issue head-on, while others criticized him for escalating tensions. Regardless of the interpretation, one thing was clear: the message landed with force. Unlike many political soundbites that are quickly overshadowed by the next news cycle, this moment lingered, replayed, and debated endlessly. The bombshell was not just about calling out individuals, it was about reshaping the conversation on issues that directly affect the public. Obama has always had a knack for framing matters in a way that transcends partisan politics. Even those who may not agree with him often acknowledge the rhetorical power he wields. This particular moment highlighted that strength. By dropping his revelation in a live broadcast, he denied his opponents the luxury of preparation, forcing them instead into a reactive position. Trump and Ivanka, usually quick to dominate media cycles with their own narratives, suddenly found themselves struggling to respond to a conversation they did not control. This shift in momentum demonstrated the strategic brilliance behind Obama's timing. The audience, both in the studio and watching across the country, could feel the energy in the air. There was a sharp intake of breath when the statement came out, a collective realization that something significant had just been said. Viewers who might have tuned in casually found themselves glued to the screen, knowing they were witnessing a defining moment in contemporary politics. The media frenzy that followed only reinforced the power of Obama's words. Headlines were bold, commentators were animated, and social media lit up with clips, reactions, and debates. This was not a quiet ripple, it was a political earthquake. For those who had followed the rivalry between Obama and Trump, the live revelation added yet another dramatic chapter. Their relationship has been marked by tension, criticism, and deeply contrasting visions for America. By stepping into the spotlight and dropping his message in such a bold fashion, Obama reminded the nation of the influence he still holds even after leaving office. He positioned himself not just as a former president offering commentary but as a voice of authority capable of shifting the trajectory of political discourse. The calculated nature of his delivery underscored his understanding of how to maximize the reach and impact of his words. This bombshell was also a reflection of the broader struggle over truth, narrative, and accountability in American politics. Obama's statement served as a counterweight to the constant flood of rhetoric and media spin that often dominates public life. By speaking plainly and directly, he managed to pierce through the noise. The raw authenticity of the moment gave it staying power, ensuring that it would not be forgotten quickly. For supporters, it was a vindication, a sign that someone of stature was finally saying what needed to be said. For critics, it was a provocation, a spark that reignited tensions. But for everyone watching, it was impossible to ignore. The political landscape thrives on moments that capture collective attention, and Obama's live bombshell was exactly that. His ability to frame complex issues in ways that resonate deeply with people gave his words immense staying power. The fact that his revelation not only caught Trump and Ivanka off guard but also threw their public image into question magnified the significance of what had occurred. It reminded the nation that politics is not just about policy but about the power of communication, timing, and influence. The live setting amplified everything, stripping away the possibility of misinterpretation or manipulation. What people saw was exactly what happened, and the unfiltered nature of that moment gave it a raw edge rarely seen in political discourse. The reaction from Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump was as swift as it was dramatic, a visible demonstration of how deeply Barack Obama's live revelation struck at the heart of their political and personal worlds. For years, Trump has cultivated an image of dominance, projecting strength and control in nearly every setting. Yet, in this moment, the facade cracked. His anger was palpable, his frustration evident in both his words and his body language. Obama's ability to command the spotlight with such precision left Trump in an uncharacteristic defensive position, forced to respond not on his own terms but in reaction to someone else's narrative. This reversal of roles was significant because it undercut one of Trump's most powerful tools, his ability to dictate the pace and framing of political discourse. Suddenly, he was not the one setting the agenda but scrambling to recover from an unexpected blow. Ivanka Trump, who has often positioned herself as a more measured and polished counterpart to her father's brashness, also found herself swept up in the fallout. Known for her careful language and attempts to appeal to moderates, she faced the challenge of defending both her family and their political standing without appearing rattled. Yet the pressure of Obama's bombshell moment exposed cracks in even her carefully crafted public persona. Her statements, while intended to appear composed, carried undertones of frustration and defensiveness that betrayed just how destabilizing the revelation had been. For a family that prides itself on projecting confidence, the combination of Trump's fury and Ivanka's unease created a spectacle of vulnerability. Observers quickly noticed the contrast between Obama's calm, deliberate delivery and the Trump family's fiery reaction. While Obama seemed to control the stage with precision, Trump and Ivanka appeared reactive, almost desperate to regain footing. This dynamic reversal revealed more than just a clash of personalities, it underscored the ongoing tension between two very different approaches to leadership. Obama has always leaned on careful preparation, strategic communication, and a keen sense of timing, whereas Trump thrives on impulsive statements, bold declarations, and the ability to dominate news cycles through sheer force of personality. Ivanka, caught between these two styles, attempted to balance firmness with diplomacy, but the weight of the moment made that balancing act far more difficult than usual. The reactions themselves became news, with clips replayed across television networks and dissected by commentators. Trump's sharp tone and choice of words drew headlines, while Ivanka's attempts to frame the situation in a softer light were scrutinized for what they revealed about her role within the family's political brand. Analysts debated whether their responses had helped or hurt their public standing, but few could deny that the fact they were reacting rather than leading the narrative was a shift in itself. For an audience accustomed to Trump overwhelming his opponents with aggression, seeing him visibly unsettled created a striking image that lingered in the minds of viewers. The emotional intensity of their reactions also highlighted just how personal this clash had become. Obama's bombshell was not merely a critique of political ideas, it was an attack that struck at the very core of the Trump family's credibility and legacy. The defensive tone in both Trump and Ivanka's responses revealed an awareness of the damage such a statement could cause. Trump, known for counterattacks that are often immediate and unrestrained, lashed out with his trademark bravado, but beneath the surface there was a sense of urgency and unease. Ivanka, tasked with protecting the family brand while maintaining her own public image, tried to soften the blow, yet her words carried the unmistakable tension of someone struggling to contain a crisis in real time. Public perception played a crucial role in magnifying the impact of these reactions. Viewers were quick to compare Obama's poise with Trump's fiery outburst and Ivanka's strained composure. The optics were hard to ignore. On one side, a former president delivering a revelation with calm authority, on the other, a current political powerhouse and his daughter visibly shaken by the fallout. For many, the contrast reinforced existing opinions about each figure, deepening admiration for Obama among his supporters while intensifying criticism of Trump and Ivanka among their detractors. Even for those who occupy the political middle, the disparity in presentation was striking enough to influence how they interpreted the situation. The timing of the reaction also mattered. In the age of instant news and viral media, Trump and Ivanka's responses were broadcast and analyzed almost immediately, leaving little time for careful crafting or spin. The immediacy exposed raw emotion in ways that polished press releases or carefully staged interviews never could. This rawness, while appealing to some who value authenticity, also carried risks. Trump's anger could be interpreted as passion by his base but as instability by critics. Ivanka's discomfort could be seen as empathy by some but as weakness by others. The duality of these interpretations ensured that the reactions would be discussed, debated, and dissected long after the live moment had passed. The reactions also underscored the generational and stylistic differences between Trump and Ivanka. Trump's approach was direct, confrontational, and unapologetically combative. Ivanka's response, though defensive, aimed for a veneer of composure, suggesting a more modern and calculated understanding of public relations. Yet in this moment, both styles seemed insufficient to fully counteract the force of Obama's revelation. The father-daughter dynamic on display further intrigued observers, as it raised questions about the balance of power and influence within the Trump family itself. Was Ivanka attempting to rein in her father's impulses, or was she simply trying to preserve her own standing? The tension between loyalty to family and the demands of political strategy was evident in the way their responses unfolded. Critics and supporters alike seized on the moment to reinforce their narratives. Trump's critics highlighted his visible frustration as evidence that Obama's words had landed with precision, while his supporters framed his fiery response as a display of strength and refusal to back down. Ivanka's supporters praised her for stepping into a difficult situation with composure, while detractors accused her of failing to provide meaningful counterpoints. In both cases, the reactions became a reflection of broader political divides, with each side interpreting them in ways that confirmed existing beliefs. Ultimately, the significance of Trump and Ivanka's reactions lay not just in what they said but in what those responses revealed about their state of mind. For a family accustomed to controlling narratives and dominating headlines, being forced into a reactive position was unusual and deeply uncomfortable. Their emotions, anger, defensiveness, unease, were on display for the world to see, stripping away the carefully constructed image of unshakable confidence. The fallout from this moment extended far beyond the immediate news cycle, as the reactions themselves became part of the larger story of how Obama's bombshell disrupted not only political discourse but the personal equilibrium of one of the most prominent families in American politics. the impact on public discourse was immediate and far-reaching, as Obama's live revelation did not simply fade into the usual cycle of political commentary but instead ignited a conversation that rippled across television networks, social media platforms, and everyday discussions among citizens. The nature of a live bombshell ensured that the message could not be softened, edited, or reinterpreted before the public consumed it. People watched it happen in real time, and that raw, unfiltered delivery lent the moment a gravity that made it difficult for anyone to dismiss. This created a collective sense of urgency, where audiences on all sides of the political spectrum felt compelled to react, debate, and form opinions almost instantly. That intensity of reaction is precisely what transforms a political statement into a moment that shapes public discourse, influencing not just the way people talk about politics but how they perceive leadership, credibility, and truth. For supporters of Barack Obama, the bombshell was embraced as a validation of their trust in his judgment and his ability to articulate what they had long felt but perhaps could not express with the same authority. Many saw it as proof that his voice still carried enormous weight in the national dialogue, despite no longer holding office. Social media lit up with praise, applause, and widespread sharing of the clip, as his words were framed as both courageous and necessary. For critics of Donald Trump and Ivanka, the moment symbolized a rare reversal of roles, where the Trumps, who so often dominated news cycles, were the ones being put on the defensive. This gave Obama's statement even greater power, because it shifted the dynamics of political storytelling in a way that had lasting resonance. On the other side, Trump's supporters viewed the exchange through a very different lens. To them, Obama's comments were seen as an attack on their chosen leader, an unnecessary provocation designed to inflame tensions. This perception deepened existing divides, reinforcing tribal lines in American politics where partisanship often dictates interpretation more than the actual content of events. Ivanka's attempt at measured responses was interpreted by Trump's base as a sign of grace under fire, while critics saw it as insufficient to counter the magnitude of what Obama had revealed. These clashing interpretations became part of a broader battle over narrative, with each side leveraging the moment to fortify its arguments about leadership, integrity, and the future of the country. The broader significance of the event lies in how it exposed the fragility of political narratives in the modern era. In a time when information travels faster than ever, the ability of a single moment to shift national conversation demonstrates the enormous influence leaders still wield through live communication. Obama's revelation, because it was delivered without the buffer of scripted media coverage, bypassed the traditional filters of politics and entered directly into the public consciousness. This transparency, whether admired or criticized, demanded that people respond. It forced conversations at dinner tables, workplaces, and online forums, underscoring how deeply political discourse is woven into the fabric of American life. It also highlighted the evolving role of former presidents in shaping national debates. Traditionally, past leaders have stepped back into quieter roles, allowing the current administration to dominate the spotlight. Yet Obama's decision to step forward with such force showed that the boundaries of political influence extend far beyond time in office. His words not only carried the credibility of experience but also the freedom of no longer being bound by electoral constraints. This gave his message both authority and fearlessness, a combination that proved particularly effective in reshaping discourse. By contrast, Trump and Ivanka, still deeply entrenched in political aspirations and ambitions, had to consider not only the immediate fallout but how their responses would impact future campaigns and their long-term brand. The public discourse that followed revealed much about the priorities and anxieties of the American people. For some, Obama's statement reignited concerns about truth, accountability, and leadership. For others, the defensive reaction from the Trumps reinforced the belief that political power is fragile and dependent on carefully maintained images. The debates that unfolded reflected not just partisan divides but broader questions about the kind of leadership people want in the future, calm and measured, or bold and combative. This clash of styles, amplified by the bombshell and its fallout, became a microcosm of the larger struggle over America's identity in a turbulent political era. The media played a critical role in amplifying the impact, looping clips of Obama's revelation alongside Trump and Ivanka's reactions. Headlines framed the story in stark terms, using dramatic language to capture attention and reinforce the sense that something monumental had taken place. Talk shows, news panels, and podcasts devoted entire segments to dissecting the exchange, ensuring that the moment remained in the public eye for days and weeks rather than being quickly overshadowed. This level of saturation meant that even those who had not watched the original broadcast became aware of the bombshell, as fragments of it appeared across countless platforms, often accompanied by commentary and spin tailored to different audiences. What made this particular moment stand out in public discourse was the way it blurred the line between politics as governance and politics as spectacle. Obama's revelation was substantive, but the reactions and the ensuing debates also carried a theatrical quality that drew in people who might otherwise have disengaged from political news. It became a cultural event as much as a political one, a shared reference point that people could not ignore. This dual nature, serious yet sensational, made it resonate more deeply than typical speeches or interviews. It sparked not only political analysis but memes, late-night comedy sketches, and countless social media threads, embedding it firmly in the cultural consciousness. For the future of political discourse, moments like this underscore the extent to which live communication can disrupt carefully crafted narratives. They reveal that no matter how much effort politicians put into controlling their image, the unpredictability of live television and the raw power of a well-timed revelation can alter the course of conversation in ways that cannot be reversed. Obama's ability to command attention and redirect national focus reminded both his supporters and detractors that authenticity, confidence, and timing remain the most powerful tools in political communication. Trump and Ivanka's reactions, though intense, could not erase the fact that the conversation had already been reframed. The clash ultimately left an imprint not just on the individuals involved but on the collective psyche of the audience. It served as a reminder of the volatility of political discourse in an era defined by rapid communication and heightened polarization. The resonance of the moment lay in how it forced people to confront questions about truth, leadership, and the power of rhetoric, questions that extend far beyond any single news cycle. In this way, Obama's live revelation and the Trump family's reaction became more than just a political skirmish. They became a symbol of the larger struggle over narrative control in American democracy, a struggle that continues to shape conversations in living rooms, on social media, and in the halls of power.